Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this great yet quick email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy. He is 50 years old, and he shares his story, how he ended up having the last laugh on a girlfriend that cheated on him like almost 30 years ago when they ran into each other and she wanted to rekindle things, and pretty much he was like, he can pretty much go pound sand. And let's just say she didn't handle it very well. And that'll be a good one to go over, once again reminding you guys how they always come back, or if you run into them later in life and things aren't going well with them, they want to give you, they hope you'll give them another chance, or they hope that you will bless your life with their presence, if you will, because they're that egotistical. And it's always funny when a guy learns from his mistake, licks his wound, moves on, does well for himself, and he gets to reject the same gal that rejected him or cheated on him or something like that, because that's what we have here. They always come back or always want a second chance one way or another. Also, we're going to be dealing with the hot crazy scale, how so many times the more physically beautiful a gal is, generally the more nuts she is. She's fun in the sack and everything, but the remainder of the time you're dealing with that crazy, it's not worth it. And also, one more, how the gals cannot take rejection. And typically when a woman is rejected by a guy, they usually handle it one of two ways. Either they become obsessed with the guy and want to get him back at all costs, or they lose their minds. They lose their minds getting dumped, and he becomes their worst enemy, and we're talking like some Fatal Attraction crap. So sit back, it's a quick one, but that'll be a very good one to go over here. He says, Dear SSM, I hope there are some lessons in this for younger men out there on how I handle this one. I got screwed over early on, exercised my man card, and I got sweet revenge 30 years later. Bro, when I read your email in the first paragraph hearing about revenge 30 years later, I'm like, done. This is going to be a good one. When I was in high school, I was poor and not in the cool crowd at all. There was an older gal in school 3 years older than me. She was smoking hot, and I was nuts about her. Even older married men were after her. I simply had zero chance with her with this one. Hugh Hefner would have literally hired her for Playboy. Trust me, it's not an exaggeration. Yeah, I've known some gals that hot, and they usually have egos the size of Mount Everest. And I'm sure probably some of your teachers in high school were probably thinking about nailing her, if not they weren't already. Had a gal in my high school my senior year, and everybody knew, it was rumored that one of the male teachers, who was like late 20s because she was 18, was hooking up with her. And sure enough, once she graduated, you saw them out in public together. No joke. A few years after I was out of high school, I was a loss prevention officer at a Kmart store while I was working my way through college. I thought I wanted to be a police officer at that point. Well, I ran into Brenda one day and took my shot, and shockingly, she went out with me. Hey, you had balls and asked her out. Good for you. We ended up dating for almost a year, and I stayed at her place most of the time. Man, she was hot, and I had an awesome time. I'm sure you did. When we would go out to the clubs, all the men would just stop and stare at her. Men aged 15 through 50 were hot for her. I felt like I was the king of kings. Dude, there were probably 90-year-old men staring at her with their minds in the gutter. And by the way, as I forgot to mention this, if you're new to the channel, women like this that are clearly like 9s and 10s, they're not girlfriend material. Not anymore. Well, not that they really ever were. They are hookups, friends with benefits, nothing more. Because otherwise, there's going to be nothing but drama to your life. Because there's going to be nothing, never-ending dudes after them. And they'll think that they are God's gift to the world because of that. And then there's the crazy and all that. It's not worth it. 6s and 7s are girlfriend material. 8s, depending. Frankly, I'm for the 8s. I can keep them in line. 9s and 10s, I'm not going to waste my time. One evening, she wasn't responding to her phone. We had landlines back then mostly. So after my evening shift, after dark, a buddy of mine and I drove by her place. She didn't answer her door. What do we notice? The car of a good friend of mine was parked down the street. Must be a coincidence. We stalked it out all night. He came out of her house at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was seeing red. That freaking scumbag. One of your bros cheating on with one of your, I don't think he was there, fixing her toilet or something like that. My friend had a brother that worked at a dairy farm, so he got us a big dead rat. We put it in a shoebox and wrapped it in a birthday wrapping paper a week later. It was Greg, the double-crossing friend's birthday week. We snuck up to his car and his home at 3 o'clock in the morning and put it on his car hood. He opened it, and I'm sure, screw him. He deserved it. He's a rat. He's a traitor. It never ceases to amaze me how guys will ruin so-called good friendships over a piece of ass. Really? I mean, at the end of the day, you got enough money you can buy that piece of ass for an hour or something like that, but ruin friendships over that? You never do that. A day later, I met her at her home for drinks after we both finished our jobs for the day. I acted like I didn't know a thing about her cheating. After she served me drinks, I went to her bedroom and took the clothes I had there. She demanded to know what was going on, and I simply said, "I'm out of here, you piece of shit." Well, she was not used to ever being dumped by men at all, and this was probably the first time. She was screaming and yelling at me like a lunatic. I had very little experience with women back then, but I wasn't going to let her humiliate me twice. Good for you, man. Good for you for getting your shit and getting out of there and saying what you said to her. She deserved that. And right there, screaming and yelling like a lunatic. She's not used to that because he breaks up with me, the queen. Fast forward, I did finish college, but I didn't become a police officer. I ended up going to medical school. After undergraduate school, 4 years of medical school, and doing 3 years of residency, I was practicing medicine on my own, and Brendan knew it. Bro, you became a doctor. That's great. Now, recently, I'm 50 years old and very happily married, obviously not to Brenda. Dude, became a doctor and you're happily married. Great. And I'm assuming if you watch this material, you know what to look out for with regards to your wife. The other day, a buddy and I drove to the grocery store in a nearby town. Here come the sirens. Haven't had them in a while. Oh, for goodness sake. As he's sitting in his car waiting for me, I am walking to his car and I hear a woman calling my name, saying, "Hey, Steve, hey, Steve." I look back and guess who it is after all these years? Yep, it's Brenda. She still looks really good. Probably better than 99% of the women her age, too. She is simply a genetic lottery winner, physically but not mentally. So you're 50, she's 3 years old, so she's 53, and bear in mind he's 50, so our perspective changes on attraction when we can recognize a good-looking piece of ass who's 22. But I'm 46, and I can say, okay, that 40-year-old woman looks damn good for her age, but she ain't going to compare to the 20-somethings. But Brenda's 53, and as he says, looks damn good for her age, and I'm sure has a giant ego still. She made some small talk and flirted with me, and I was a gentleman. Then she said, knowing full well that I'm happily married, "How about we go out for dinner and a drink tonight?" She even mentioned we could go someplace out of the area. Well, I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. I simply looked at her and paused for a very long time. Then I said, "That would be nice, but I don't believe in paying for the same real estate twice." Isn't that what George C. Scott said in Patton? I always remember that. That is a great fucking movie. That's a man's movie. Says here, well, that did it. She threw a can of soda at me and she called me a no-good motherfucker. 30 years later, she's still psycho. People don't change. Right there, you're rejecting her twice. And I guarantee you she knows you're a doctor. He says, my buddy was laughing and yelling, "Hurry up before she starts shooting or something." I jumped in the car and we left. She was still standing in the parking lot as we left, cursing and yelling and screaming. My revenge was served very cold, and it felt great, I must admit. Dude, she deserved it. She knew you were married. She could see the ring on your finger. I'm sure if you're local, and she's still local, particularly in the era of social media, I guarantee she's looked you up. But she doesn't care. She thinks she's so amazing, so beautiful, that of course you would just cheat on your wife to have a chance with her. I've known women like that. We've all known ones like this. And the funny thing is, it's one thing if it's in the prime years, right? College, 20s and all that. It's another thing if they're in their 50s or 40s or hell, even late 30s. And okay, yeah, they look good for their age, but it's like, you're not that great. Why am I going to fuck up a great marriage or relationship or my life to roll in the hay with you? And it probably isn't that good. I don't need to see gray pussy hair and sagging boobs and amongst many other things. Really, your prime is long gone, honey. The lessons: never ever trust a friend with your woman, never give a cheater a second chance, and don't seek revenge. It will present itself when the time is right. Yes, it will. Success is the best revenge. Finally, some advice I received a long time ago from an old man applied here too. He said, Steve, don't be too mad at the guy. After all, he's only guilty of liking the same thing you did. Be pissed at the cheating, lying WHORE. Well, bro, that was a good story, man. I'm glad to hear. I like all the stories. Long stories, short stories, whatever. I mean, I definitely saw this. I'm like, I got to do this one, even though it's not too long. I know on this channel you guys like the 20-minute videos or longer, but I couldn't resist. So, bro, great job. You handled it well. You handled it well 30 years ago, and you handle it well now. And again, it just proves the point that I've been saying all along about the gals in this whole thing. So I'm sure she's I watch out for your car to make sure it doesn't get keyed, or I don't know, there's a burning bag of poo on your freaking door or something. That was big 30 years ago. Never did that one. My friend wanted to do it. I'm like, I'm not doing arson, guys. But anyhow, good story there. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Give this guy a shout out for handling it well. And guys, you got a good story like to share, definitely email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just make sure that give me some time to get to it, because I get a lot of stuff. And also, if you find a good story online, a good article or a story that'd be useful on my other channels like They Did What or SSM Clips, which you should all subscribe to help me grow, because the more my channels grow, the more it pisses off the FNS out there. And send it my way. I'll definitely make use of it in some capacity. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.